Hey everyone, it's TheSlickCuber. Today we're going to review the new 4x4 by Moyu, the Aosu GTS2 M. So the Aosu GTS2 is the new 4x4 by Moyu, and it comes after the Aosu GTS. The cube is 61 millimeters on each side, and it weighs in at about 134 grams. To give you a reference on the size, it's right in between a normal wuxia and the mini wuxia. So the normal wuxia is about 62 millimeters and the mini wuxia is 60. So you can see there's very little difference, but it's right in between those two. This cube honestly feels a lot like the Aosu GTS. So if you were a fan of the first one, you're going to be a fan of this one. The layer turns have a very soft, bubbly feeling, and it's very, very smooth. The outer magnets are quite a bit lighter than the inside magnets, which makes the inner layers feel a little bit sluggish, but it makes 3x3 phase a breeze. This cube comes in a black stickered and a normal stickerless option. As you can see, this cube has the standard Moyu stickerless shades. They're all exactly the same. So if you have a GTS3 or an Aosu, you know exactly what these colors are going to look like because there's literally no difference at all between them. I love a lot of things about this cube, especially the size. 60 millimeters felt a little bit better than 62 to me, but it felt a little bit small. So the fact that they split the difference and went to 61 is perfect for me. The strong inner layers are both something I like and dislike about this cube. I like it a lot for 3x3 stage because you can do M slices really easily. I can seriously get like my normal 3x3 times on this 4x4 cube, which is very good. However, when I'm doing centers and 3-2-3 edge pairing, I definitely have to work harder to move those inner layers. This hasn't really affected my solves at all, but it is definitely something I notice. The magnet strength on the outer layers is honestly perfect. Like, I could not ask for a better strength for outer layers on a 4x4. It snaps into place perfectly, but it's also buttery smooth, and it doesn't slow down your turning at all. The magnet strength on the inner layers is honestly fine. I think the magnet strength is good. It just feels like there's a lot of friction coming from maybe the internal pieces or maybe the pieces themselves. Maybe I just have my cube a little too tight. I might try loosening it in the future, but all I know right now is that 3x3 stage is perfect and the inner layers feel a little sluggish. So I don't know if I want to loosen it because the 3x3 stage is perfect right now, but I might have to loosen it a little bit just because the inner layers are a little too slow for me. Comparing it to some other 4x4 cubes, it feels a lot like its first version. If you like the Aosu, you're gonna like the Aosu GTS2. If you didn't like the Aosu, you probably won't like the Aosu GTS2. It's really that simple. One thing I will say is that in the first version of the Aosu, I felt like the outer layer magnets were too light. Like, it feels like there's barely any magnets in this at all. There's a very soft little subtle click, but I find that I would overshoot a little bit with the Aosu GTS. But with the GTS2, it definitely feels like they've increased the magnets a little bit, or maybe they just made the plastic a little bit thinner. Which leads me to my next difference. The first version, the plastic does feel a little bit different. It feels like it's a little bit thicker, it feels rounder, it feels like there's more plastic in each piece. Though with the GTS2, it feels a little bit lighter. It feels like there's less plastic in between the magnets of the layers. The corners and edges are definitely feel a little bit sharper than the GTS1. This has a very rounded, bubbly feel on the outside, whereas this has kind of a sharper feel. But if you like the bubbly feeling on the inside layer turns, fear not, that is still definitely there. The magnets on the inner layers feel pretty much the same between these two. They might be a little bit lighter on the GTS2, which I think is good because one of the main reasons I didn't use my Aosu is because the inner layers just felt way too sluggish for me, and I preferred how the inner layers felt on my wuxia. Speaking of which, here's my wuxia right now. I have the Cubicle Labs version. This cube definitely feels a lot stiffer than the GTS2. If you like how kind of stable and stiff the wuxia is, and you like that it kind of stays as a cube shape and doesn't morph at all, you might want to just stick with this cube. This one, it feels really nice, but it definitely has a little bit of a morph to it, and it's not as stable and it's not as stiff. I will say that I tend to prefer cubes that are a little bit more stable and stiff. However, I'm liking this cube a lot. There is some morphing and flexibility to it, but I find that it doesn't really affect my solves at all. Now, obviously with the wuxia, it's not factory magnetized, so your magnet strengths are going to differ. But as far as my Cubicle Labs version goes, the inner layers are definitely a little bit lighter than these ones. Again, maybe it's not even the magnet strength, maybe it's just the internal pieces and the friction. All I know is that it feels a lot lighter on the wuxia than it does on this one, so that might be magnet strength, that might just be the friction between the pieces, I'm not exactly sure. The outside layers feel pretty much exactly the same though, so if you have this Cubicle Labs version and you like these outside layer magnets, I think you're gonna like these ones a lot. Now our last comparison is the mini wuxia, which just came out. I'd say that this is kind of just a worse version of this. It feels very much the same. They're both kind of a smaller size than usual, and they both kind of have a morphing flexibility to them. However, I find that with the mini, the morphing and flexibility kind of gets in the ways of my solves, whereas with this one, it manages to stay in a cube shape and stay stable a little bit better. I found with the Wushui, I would oftentimes get lockups because layers would kind of like get jumbled around each other, whereas with this one, I don't really get lockups at all. And when I do get lockups, it's because I overshot a layer turn or something else that was my fault. If you liked the mini, but you wanted it to be just a little bit more stable, I think this cube could be perfect for you. Another interesting thing to note is that the stickerless shade colors between these two are basically exactly the same. So that's all I have for you guys today. I tried to keep it a little bit shorter and sweeter this time. Thank you everyone for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more reviews like this in the future, go ahead and subscribe. Stay awesome everyone, and I'll see you guys next time.